In understanding that femininity is not the prerogative of the female, our first task is to teach ourselves to think of it as an entity that affects a woman's central feminine identity and affects a man's ability and capacity for feeling and valuing. A profound lesson about the way that feminine energy can be returned to modern life is illustrated by one of the legends of King Arthur. It is the story of Arthur and the puzzling question, what does woman really want? The story goes like this. King Arthur in his youth was caught poaching in the forest of the neighboring kingdom and was caught by its king. He might well have been killed immediately, for that was the punishment for transgression, the loss of property and ownership. But the neighboring king was touched by Arthur's youth and winsome character. He offered Arthur freedom if he could find the answer to a very difficult question within 1 year. The question, what does woman really want? This would stagger the wisest of men and seem insurmountable for the youth. But it was better than hanging. So Arthur returned home and began questioning everyone he could find. Harlot and nun, princess and queen, wise man and court fool, all were approached, but none could give a convincing answer. Each advised, however, that there was one who would know, the old witch. The cost would be high, for it was proverbial in the realm that the old witch charged ruinous prices for her services. The last day of the year arrived, and Arthur finally was driven to consult the hag. She agreed to provide an answer that would satisfy, but the price had to be discussed first, and her price was marriage to Gawain, the noblest knight of the Round Table and Arthur's closest friend. Arthur gazed at the old witch in horror. She was ugly, had but one tooth, gave forth a stance that would sicken a goat, made obscene sounds, and was humpbacked, the most loathsome creature he had ever encountered. Arthur quailed at the prospect of asking his lifelong friend to assume this terrible burden for him, but Gawain, hearing of the bargain, asserted that this was not too much to offer for the life of his companion and the preservation of the Round Table. The wedding was announced, and the old hag gave off her infernal wisdom. What does woman really want? She wants sovereignty over her own life. Everyone knew on the instant of hearing this that great feminine wisdom has been spoken, and King Arthur would be safe. The neighboring ruler indeed gave Arthur his freedom when he heard the answer. But then there was the wedding. All the court was there, and none was more torn between relief and distress than Arthur himself. Gawain was courteous, gentle, and respectful. The old witch exhibited her worst manners, wolfed the food from her plate without aid of utensils, emitted hideous noises and smells. Never before or since had the court of Arthur been subject to such a strain, but courtesy prevailed, and the wedding was accomplished. Then later on the wedding night, when Gawain was prepared for the wedding bed and waiting for his bride to join him, she appeared as the loveliest maiden a man could ever wish to see. Gawain, in his amazement, asked what had happened. The maiden replied that because Gawain had been courteous to her, she would show him her hideous aspect half of the time and her gracious aspect the other half of the time. Which did he choose for the day and which for the night? This was a cruel question to put before a man, and Gawain made a rapid calculations. Did he want a lovely maiden to show forth during the day when all of his friends could see, and a hideous hag at night in the privacy of their chamber? Or did he want a hag during the day and a maiden in the intimate moments of their life? The noble Gawain replied that he would let his bride choose for herself. At this, she announced that she would be fair damsel to him both day and night, since he had given her respect and sovereignty over her own life. If femininity has been driven into its hideous mode, the best that a man can do is maintain respect and courtesy. This is the magic of transformation. which will restore femininity gone dark more quickly to its true beauty than any other means. This story about the dynamic of interior feminine energy is as important for men attempting to relate to their inner feminine side as it is for women trying to live out of their core identity. And it is a principle that should not be lost on external male-female relationships.